Hello there and welcome to the program. I am Imonia Marere. In 2018, after a long, hard struggle by a coalition of interest groups, the Not Too Young to Run Act came into being in Nigeria. It was aimed at putting young people in pole positions to run for elective public offices at all levels. It was a major victory for young Nigerians who felt excluded from the democratic process on the basis of age. However, less than 4 years down the line, it appears that victory was a Pyrrhic one, as the legacy political parties, particularly the ruling All Progressives Congress (APC) and the main opposition People's Democratic Party (PDP), have introduced what is described as prohibitive financial conditions for the electioneering process in the run-up to the 2023 elections. The APC has set the cost of each presidential expression of interest and nomination fee at a whopping 100 million naira. The PDP, on the other hand, pegged its presidential expression of interest and nomination form fee at 45 million naira. Other political parties have also come up with varying amounts that seem to put less financially endowed but resourceful political aspirants at a disadvantage at almost every level. Some of the parties have argued that the high cost of each form is aimed at shutting out unserious aspirants, but is shutting out anyone from the electoral process not discriminatory and anti-democratic? It is an established norm that effective participation by citizens in the political process is crucial and critical for democracy to thrive. Some political scientists have argued that one of the greatest obstacles to sustainable democratic development in Nigeria and Africa as a whole is elite transactional politics. There is a long-standing trend in Nigerian politics which places emphasis on the big men, the money bags, and the big wigs, the makers, shapers, and shakers of party policies, to the exclusion of the poor and ordinary members of political parties, who are only needed to cast votes at elections. This has also been transferred to governance and development processes, where the interests of ordinary people do not matter much. Some analysts are of the view that the monetization of political mandates, as opposed to values, service, competence, and character in Nigeria's political culture, runs counter to the ideals of the presidential system, which was borrowed from the United States of America, where filing and nomination fees by political parties for various elective positions are minimal or even optional. The current situation is throwing up serious questions about the possible impact of the excessive fees on accountability, transparency, and responsiveness in governance in a country where the gross domestic product per capita is less than $2,400. Where does it leave the much touted anti-corruption mantra of the outgoing federal government? What does it take to be a party's nominee for president, for governor, and to be a candidate for a legislative seat at any level in Nigeria, compared to what obtains in other democratic climes? Is Nigeria's political financial investment profile the same as in other democracies? If not, why so? These and many more issues in the lead-up to the 2023 general elections will engage our attention on this edition of the program. And I'm being joined in the studio at this point in time by two very able gentlemen. First, from my immediate left is Magnus Onyibe. Magnus Onyibe, former Commissioner for Information in Delta State and author of a new book, Becoming President of Nigeria. Mr. Onyibe, thank you so much for joining us. Also joining us is Engineer Ibrahim Hassan, where, as his title clearly shows, he is an engineer. In fact, he's an engineering consultant, but he's also a politician. Engineer Hassan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right, we go on a short break. When we return, we will be going straight into our discussion. All right, thank you so much for staying with us. People, politics, and power. And today we're looking at politics in Nigeria, the monetization of the mandate to become either president, governor, a senator, a member of the House of Representatives, a member of state houses of assembly. And my guests are here right with me. In fact, we have now just been joined by our third guest, Dr. Tanko Yunusa. Dr. Yunusa is head of Public Affairs Bureau of the National Consultative Front, NSF, and a former presidential candidate in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, I did introduce to you Magnus Onyibe, former Commissioner for Information, Delta State, and author of a new book, Becoming President of Nigeria, A Citizen's Guide. Once again, welcome.
Thank you very much.
And Engineer Ibrahim Hassan. Engineer Hassan is a consultant and a politician. Engineer Hassan, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
Joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
What does it take, Mr. Onyibe, to become a political heavyweight in Nigeria?
It takes a lot in terms of finance, as you just said, and this is new. Ordinarily, we're operating a democracy, not aristocracy, but the huge sums of money being demanded for nomination forms, as you just stated, is making it seem as if we are in an aristocracy. You also said, that an argument has been made that is a way of generating income for the parties. But as you also pointed out, it excludes certain numbers of people, especially since if you weigh the income level of Nigerians. In the book, the argument I try to make is that anybody can become president of Nigeria if you are a bona fide Nigerian and you meet the criteria set in the Constitution. And that was my thought, and that's still my thought, that by history or from trend analysis, of the 5 people who have been the presidents in Nigeria since 1960, 3 of them were teachers. And you remember in those days, they used to say that the reward for teachers is in heaven. But indeed, it has been on earth, because from Alhaji Shehu Shagari to Umar Yar'Adua to Goodluck Jonathan, they were teachers. And the other 2, President Olusegun Obasanjo and the current president, were ex-soldiers. So these are not like extraordinary people. They were not like accountants or bank managing directors or princes and stuff like that. So it's a democracy, and despite some incongruities that we have witnessed, such as this huge amount of money being expected by the parties, Nigeria remains a democracy, and no matter your station in life, you can aspire to become president of Nigeria, and it's achievable.
Mm. Dr. Tanko, let me come to you. You have been there before.
Yeah.
And from what he says, do you actually believe, and from what we see now, that anyone can become president, or even become a governor, or even a member of the State House of Assembly in Nigeria?
The Hausa people will say, Hannum Bariga. They are 2 way apart. The Bariga is a big agbada that has one flowery hand in this side and then the other one on this side. When I ran for election, I ran on the platform of the NCP. The platform was free. Nobody charged me any X amount of money to pay. And in fact, you remember Ganifa Wayemi? Ganifa Wayemi took the case of payment of funds to INEC. ab initio, you usually pay like 1 million naira to INEC before you contest elections. But we took the case, he took the case to court, and then we were able to win that case against INEC. So nobody, INEC does not charge anybody any single kobo to run for election in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. None. And so therefore, we find it difficult to understand why we as a political party will not charge amount of money when we have been able to win a case against INEC with the statutory government saying that you cannot pay X amount of money to run, because there's a statutory money, taxpayers' money that is being used to run for that particular election, being paid for the processes of the elections. And donors even come from other countries to pay to make sure that you have a clean, clear election. So what is the use of you collecting this humongous source of money? If we say the amount is using for the political party to run their political party, the X amount of money supposed to be collected should have been from the members of the political party. A case in study now. You said APC had generated close to about 40 million members. Thanks, if they are even collecting 100 naira per person, do the mathematics. It's enough for them to run for the elections. And if you want to say you want to have these political stoppers, some say there's a political stoppers who want to cause mayhem into the political scene and all of that. Use other yardstick to stop them from joining the political party or joining the race, as the case may be. Like policies, for example. What do you have as a candidate that you want to use to take us out of this particular wood of non-performance and electricity supply for the country, or probably educational system, or how do we take care of our economy? If you don't have a template that is as acceptable by the political party, then you can be screened out of the process. These are measures that can make any impute and even draw the people closer to you to run for elections. So as it is now, what they are doing is just closely annihilating credible candidates who have credibility that can run for elections. Now you are now saying that probably those who have been able to steal government money to a point of stupor are the ones that will run for elections. And then this disguise that everybody is coming out with, telling us that a group of people came to organize and pay for the form for us and all. Who are they trying to deceive? Who? How many of them have been loved by Nigerians enough to them to give them even their 1 naira? In fact, Nigerians, most of the Nigerians who look at them are looking for money from them to collect. We've been the politicians, so we know. So nobody should deceive anybody by telling them that people are giving. And it's so appalling and insulting to the Nigerian people, if I could use this word. Here we are in a country where majority of our siblings and children are at home. And some members of the cabinet who are supposed to be in taking care of this particular matter, labor, education, are the one even in the forefront of collecting forms. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I think the political parties who have put this particular amount of money should really look inwards and look at what they are causing. They are putting our democracy in danger. It's not even advancing it.
Mr. Hassan, in 2015, the nomination fee for a presidential candidate in the APC was in the region of 27 million or thereabout. Yes. And the current president, in fact, they say he didn't have that kind of money, and so he went to take a loan from a bank or something of that nature. By 2019, that amount had risen to 45. And now for 2023 elections, in 2022, it has risen to 100 million. In 2018, when the not too young to run bill was passed, the expectation was that it was meant to encourage the young people to participate fully in politics. But with the introduction of these what Dr. Tanko describes as humongous amount of money now, where does that leave the young people?
First and foremost, what I want you to also look at is in contemporary Nigeria today, the global recession, Nigeria is not an exception. And the issue of the postulation that APC is the largest political party in Africa is statistical. And what it takes for a political party that wants to rid itself of political machineries contending and dictating to the party what to do is actually what leads to this. Now, you know what is the cost of running a political institution with its officials? Prior to the instance that you gave, the political party executives are not even on salary. The ward executives, the local government executives, the national executives. They are not on salary. They are not on pay. They are at the dictates of political office holders. So in order to create independency of the party from the office holders, thereby disenabling this control, I'm the governor, I have the state resources at my disposal, so I dictate what happens in the party. You have to bring certain institutional measures. What is the institutional measure you bring? Of course, it's the capital, it's the finance, it's the funding. Why do you need the fund? Because at that level, you will not be he who pays the piper will dictate the tune to me. And
yes, go ahead.
yes, and when that is understood, you will now be able to tell a political party office holder as a party that you cannot dictate who will be delegates to us, who will be local government chairman to us, who will be having this appointment, or who will not have this.
So these very big sums of money charged as nomination and expression of interest fees is meant to stabilize the finances of the party.
Stabilize it as well as give it independence financially.
In the Second Republic, Mr. Onyebe, in the Second Republic, I recall, I was old enough to know that what obtained was that, and this is also very true of many other political parties in other parts of the world, is that party membership comes with a subscription fee.
Absolutely.
And so if you are a member of, you were a member of the MPN, of the UPN, of the MPP or GMPP, as whichever you belong to, then you were required to pay some kind of subscription to the party. And that was the major source of funding for the party. But that doesn't appear to be the case at all in this dispensation.
Yes, that's the unfortunate situation. I agree, that parties are trying to raise money to function. But as you pointed out, members are supposed to be paying dues. And I thought, when APC started the idea of registering members, I thought that was their pursuit, and that people would pay subscription. Unfortunately, the way we are in Nigeria, we expect the parties to give us money, not us as individuals to give the party money, whatever, but that has to be reversed. It's something that we have to work on. I heard, the talk about independence. No matter what you pay the ward chairman or local government chairman or whatever, the governor still has the honeypot. It's like saying when you start to pay members of the police force, for instance, 1 million naira a month, they will not be crooked anymore, whatever. That does not work. So independence is not as a result of the amount of money that you receive. It depends on how susceptible you are to bribe, to compromising, because no matter what you are paying the ward executives, the governor still has the wherewithal to be able to influence them if they are amenable to such. So the governors will always control the delegates if they are so inclined. But sourcing money independent of pressure on individuals to rake up so much money, is a solution that we have to find. And it lies in what he had said earlier, that members have to begin to contribute. If, for instance, in Lagos State, I'm aware that about 4.8 million Nigerians registered. In Kano, it's about 4.5, 4.7. If dues are collected from such people, that would be a reasonable amount of money, plus whatever the governor is going to do and whatever. But thinking that, even this 100 billion they're collecting from candidates, it would not even sustain them. It would not even sustain paying the executives. So we have to find a better way of doing it because it's sounding ridiculous. A lot of people are like nonplussed with the fact that so much money has to be doled out for you to get a nomination form. You didn't go all the way down. You find out in the US, for instance, it doesn't cost more than between $5,000 to $8,000 to get nomination form to be a senator. Match that with the Naira. But our system here is different. Like I said, the individuals, we expect...
In fact, in some states in the US, it's much less.
Exactly.
Much less.
Exactly.
$3,000.
Exactly.
Equivalent of about 1.8 million
Absolutely.
naira and all of that.
So in our system here, we expect we're like, we equate political parties to government because here we expect what government can give us. We don't think of what we can give to government, unlike what they say of America, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. So here we're looking for what we can get from the political parties, and that's why they take the electorate for granted. They do, also something that they do for elections, stomach infrastructure, gift oil, motorbike, and all sorts and whatever. But once we begin to take responsibility and take charge, like I think is happening now, Nigerians are becoming more politically aware. I'm sure they are not going to take rice and salt and small gifts, whatever. I saw on social media the other day, some guy in Ghana took bags of rice to members of his constituent, and they threw the rice back to him. They said, take your bag of rice and go away. We need more than that. What did you do? So we're getting more aware, and it may come to that level where people are not going to accept pittance anymore.
In fact, we saw one very recently, and also on social media, in a state in the Southwest where a member of the House of Assembly also went back to his constituency and he was chased out of the town by his constituents who felt that he had not done enough.
So that's where we are right now. We're becoming more politically conscious, and a lot of people are jumping into the fray right now, and I believe it's a reflection of our awareness, of our consciousness. Right now, if you go to the mosques, they're telling you to go and get your PVC. If you go to the churches, they're telling you to go and get your PVC. Town unions, they're telling you to go and get your... So people are becoming aware that they have rights. And now, because of the electoral reform, because the last time it was reformed was in 2010, this 2022 one has helped, that people now think that if they go and contest, that is their qualities, their abilities, that people are going to be looking at, that no godfather is going to be anointing or appointing. That is yet to be seen, but it promises to be so. So people have the confidence to throw their hearts in the ring, hoping that votes will count, and that will be incremental from now going forward.
Now, Dr. Tanko, let me use a football analogy. You hardly will see a fan of a particular football club. Let's use the English Premiership, for instance. A Man United fan decamping, quote now, from Man United to, say, Arsenal or to Chelsea or to Brighton or whatever, or the other way around and all of that. And that's because, in fact, in some cases, it's generational. You see a whole generation after generation all believing in one football club and supporting that football club. And that's because they believe in that football club. But in the case of Nigeria, with our political parties, what you see is a very fluid movement from one party to another. Which some people have interpreted to me the lack of an ideology, of a belief system that exists. They just see these parties as vehicles to get to power, to offices, and all of that. Could that also be responsible for why the parties are unable to get their members to subscribe to these parties and empower these parties rather than charging this kind of very huge sums of money for nomination fees? And how far can that take them?
Unfortunately, as you rightly said, the Electoral Act we are expecting to deal with this matter did not take care of this particular aspect of the matter. I remember quite a lot of time I've been here, and that actually caused a lot of the political party to be deregistered. Even though some of them who are ideologically based, like the NCP, for example, PRP suffered the way before it comes back. There are other political parties too who have won election, like the PPA, for example, who have won election, but they couldn't come back because majority of their members who won political seats. I'll give you an example of our own case. We won a state assembly in Ekiti. If that particular person was not intimidated, so-called to be intimidated, he will have survived issue of the registration, will have grown. But eventually, there was this particular opportunity for you to do political nomadism. Some call it political prostitution. In the morning, you belong to one political party. In the evening, you turn and then you belong to another party. Not leaving that your seat. And it been that Electoral Act has been able to deal with the matter that, look, if you want to move from one political party to another, political party A to B, you have sold a manifesto of political party B to the people, and they bought it. And that is the reason why they vote for you, and then you are on that particular seat. So if you want to leave that seat, based on that, that platform that you've already sold to the manifesto that you sold to the people, then you leave the seat if you are so popular and go and contest again and leave the seat. But our electoral law did not deal with that matter. You can easily leave political party A to B at will, and then you still maintain your seat. That is why you see most of the governors leaving their seat. They belong to one party to another. And today, as you see now, most of the leaders of the PDP are now the chairmen and leaders of the APC, and members of the APC who belong to the APC are now members and leaders of the PDP. So there's no difference between the two of them, as the case may be, because the laws that we are there were not able to deal with the matter. So we must, as a people, find a way of ensuring that the Electoral Act deal with the matter that if you want to leave party A, leave your seat. And if you are going to party B, there must be some certain period of time you must serve in that political party before you are eligible to run for election in any position, either at the party level or even for position of power. These kind of measures can deal with these particular issues, and then we can now have a sustainable, consistent political party surviving as a political party. If we do not do that, it will continue to blossom, and then people can easily change from one political party to another, and then that gives room for suspicion as regard to whether you are coming into my party to come and cause mayhem. So then let us jack up the amount of money to contest election. But even as it were, that will not deal with the matter at all. It will not. It will only exasperate the matter to a point that it gives corruption more hands into FISA, because you want to question, where would a minister who was serving, whose salary cannot be equivalent to what he's earning, how does he get up to 100 million to distribute to people to come and say they are going to come and pay for him? How does a governor who is just having money that's supposed to be used for security vote to take care of the security on his area, now getting that particular money to go and run for election, where the people that he's supposed to take care of their welfare, they are still suffering, and they have not paid their salaries, and not paid their welfare, and then he can take over 100 million to go and run for election. So therefore, the network of corruption and insecurity and uncomfortable situation and economic mayhem that is affecting you and I will continue in that regard. So there's no any independency for any political party. What it ended up having is that we are now encouraging a situation where we will not be able to deal with the democratic system that all of us are supposed to enjoy. And that's the reason why we are proposing this particular conference. Let us deal with this matter together. At the National Political Summit and the NCF, we are saying on the 12th, let us all discuss as Nigerians, because Nigerians must survive as a country, and the people must survive as a people for them to be able to even vote for the right candidate. As it is today, there's no choice for them to vote for any candidate. They are just being intimidated by people who have stolen their collective wealth into a position and then perpetuating themselves into power. It cannot continue.
Mr. Hassan, the argument that was made by one of the political parties was that, look, this large sum of money is being charged as fee in order to weed out unserious candidates. Yeah. But even with the large sum of money, yeah, we see, for instance, in the APC that, well, over 25 persons, yes, aspirants have indicated interest, have collected forms, have paid the 100 million. Yeah. Now, which means that it doesn't appear to have exactly.
Yes. The issue You see, people make so much emphasis about 100 million, the issue. Now, among the aspirants who had paid, are they only those in governance? Are there no clergies? Are there people who are not in government who have subscribed for the forms? So the issue is not about using public resources to fund your political ambition. No. The issue is about productivity and your leadership capacity in which your constituents have complete belief in you. Yes, to some, you may say it is a deceitful act that the group of ABCD will put funds together to come and pay for you. During the Buhari 2015 election, have we forgotten so soon that it was even recharge cards that people were using to donate money for his country, for his election, to go and get his form? So in different perspectives, people have different sources of their funding, not necessarily government coffers. No. So the issue of saying today the government or the party or the subscribers of the party are trying to corrupt the system by raising the fund, for me, honestly, is a misplacement of. When this party came into effect during the Jonathan administration, it was a conglomeration of different groups. And when you are talking of ideology, these different groups have different ideologies. But they form themselves into a progressive party. Even if the parties that constituted the ANPP, the CPC, and all that don't have the progressive ideals. And the party took off with people like Oyegu. Now, the party secretariat of APC, have you been there from this takeoff to now and see what facilities are there of a national party that is composed of these people? Talk less if you go to the wards. And I keep insisting, even when you are talking about other sources of income to the party members' dues, party subscription, and so on and so forth, who pays? How much have you gotten since the existence of this party to date from that? So the party must
But shouldn't that be a precondition for being a member of the party?
Of course.
That if I'm a member of a group, of an association, for instance, I'm a member of the Nigerian Guild of Editors, for instance.
Yes.
My membership is sustained by the fact that I pay my annual dues.
Correct. That is a fact. And even today, if you are coming to subscribe for the form, you must present an evidence that you have done your annual dues on monthly basis or annual basis. You must. If you don't, you will do. But what is the percentage of the aspirants compared to the total number of membership? So what does that rise to? What does that add to? The percentage of aspirants. It is statistically shown that APC has over 40 million members. How many are aspirants today out of the 40 million? So how much will you collect to manage this? And the thing I want you to see is that the party first, you can't build nothing on sand and expect it to stand. The party first must get its act right. And this is what the present generation of the party leadership is trying to do. First, they want to be independent and build a structure that the party now can lean and rely on. When they are independent of external forces, whether members or outside, whether intra or extra, then they would be able to now lay certain conditionalities that must be subscribed to by any willing member of the party.
Mr. Hassan, you keep
Yes.
emphasizing the independence of the parties.
Yes.
But even in 2022, we are still seeing a situation as we move towards 2023 where governors, for
Yes.
instance, appear to be dictating who gets what, when, and how.
Exactly.
For instance,
yes.
I give you the example of the very first one that happened was in Akwa Ibom State, where the governor single-handedly handpicked who the person he described as his successor.
Yes.
Only yesterday or so over the weekend, the governor of Kano State
State, yes.
anointed his deputy
Yes.
as his successor.
Yes.
And we have seen situations like that across different states in the country. In your own state, for instance, of Gombe,
Yes.
we are seeing a situation, for instance, where the governor who is running for a second term,
Yes.
he has insisted that he has a right to contest for a second term,
Yeah.
right? But
Yes.
There are situations where they discourage competition with them.
No, if, for instance, if I may take Gombe State, for example, as a case study, you see, the governor in Gombe works as a team player. Because you are the football captain, doesn't make you the team. But what the party essentially is trying, like I keep telling you, to negate from, it's about one man, dictatorial tendencies. The party is the supreme authority or platform in which every other member exercises his rights and privileges. What the governors now, okay, now look at it. It is only in this dispensation that you are now saying a sitting president is the party leader. You remember Shagari time, during the MPN time, you remember of MPN.
Mm-hmm.
President Shagari will enter the meeting. The person that enters their meeting last, based on protocol. Was he not the chairman?
Akinlo, yes.
But what of today? You have to wait for Buhari. He's the last person to enter. This is what the party is trying to discourage.
That was a culture that was instituted by the Obasanjo presidency.
Yes, this is what I'm saying.
When he came in
And now this is
made himself the leader of the party,
and so governors, yes, exactly.
leaders of the party at different levels.
Exactly.
And that's not the case in the US, where
Yes,
we borrowed
exactly. This is what I'm saying.
from.
Yes.
So that's
So
why
this is why
the checks and balances should be there. If you have the chairman as the leader of the party and the governor as the next, then there will be checks and balances. If the governor is out of order, the chairman would call him to order. But unfortunately, that's not the case. So the whole point about this is, as he is saying, is trying to secure the independence of the political parties from the clutches of governors who control the resources. I think it's easier said than done, because the governor still controls the honeypot. The president controls the honeypot. No matter how much you're paying the ward executives or the party executives and whatever, they are still susceptible to being compromised. So in a system where we don't enforce laws strictly, don't forget we also have something in the legal system that prescribes the volume of money that a candidate can spend. But that's not being observed right now. Any candidate can spend any amount of money. Some people are estimating that if you want to be president of Nigeria, you have to have at least 100 billion, to spend. If you want to be governor, there's an amount of money that you have to have, and stuff like that. But, those are the questions that we're planning to throw up. We're not just launching this book. In the course of it, there's a platform of 4 people, one from each of the major ethnic groups, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, and a female, because we're gender sensitive, and they'll be talking about a topic. What do we expect from the next president of Nigeria 2023? We'll be looking at the characteristics of that person. We'll be looking at that person's worldview. We'll be looking at whether that person is a unifier or somebody that polarizes the ethnic groups. Those are the kind of factors that we think, that when we throw up at that event tomorrow, that delegates will be asking candidates, so that delegates will look at all those qualities, whether they exist in particular candidates that they want to cast their vote for to become the party candidates. Those are the kind of things. It's society, it's us that will throw them up and whether. He was speaking earlier about other measures to use to weed out those who shouldn't be. In America, there's a system. You come for the first debate. It depends on the number of people that you get before you can join the next debate. They drop incrementally, So that's how the vice president now, the lady, she was a presidential candidate, but she dropped out because she didn't have enough followers. She didn't have enough resources to mobilize around the country. You know, so those are the kind of measures, not the nomination fees, that is so prohibitive and cost out people, ordinary, regular people that we are talking about, that this is a democracy and everybody should be involved. It costs them out. There has to be other methods of weeding out people who cannot go all the way. It has to be more. Why must everything be about money? Why must everything be about money? Of course, as he said, there are individuals who have earned the money, like the current CBN governor, for instance. He said, you know, he can afford it. He can afford it. He was a bank MD for over 10 years. And bank MDs earn over 100 million naira. Just as an aside.
And there are also oil magnates who are in the race right now.
I was going to list them one by one. You know, so there are individuals apart from people in government who can afford that money. Clearly. You know, but we're saying, why don't we use other methods to weed out, to separate the seed from the chaff going forward? You know, so those are the questions that we're going to raise. Those are the ideas that we're going to throw around for the system to begin to imbibe such values. Because as you said, this wasn't the case in the days of Shehu Shagari.
Yeah.
This wasn't the case. It was different. Party was supreme. And the Akinloye was the leader of MPN. Yeah. Whatever. You know, the president, Shehu Shagari, was the president of Nigeria, yes. But he demurred. He had to bow to the will of the leader in, you know, who carries along the leadership. So the party came together and they had policy. That's why we had so much success. If you see MPN in those days, when they wanted to distribute amenities, it was around the country. When they did the steel mills, you know, they had at Ajaokuta, they had in Jos, they had Katsina, you know, in Katsina, they had in Warri, they had in whether. When they did the auto assembly plants, it was spread around the country. They had in Kaduna, they had in Lagos, they had in Ibadan, they had in Bauchi, they had in Enugu, where it was well distributed because it was a committee, it was a team that was coming out with that strategy, not from one individual's head or one minister's idea of where there should be a road or where there should be a rail line or where there should be an airport or where there should be a school. Where it was a collective thing that the party, following its ideals, following its policy, following its campaign promises that they deliver, based on planned way of applying those things. But right now, this is something I can refer to as staccato. It comes from here and there. No, it's disparate. There's no organized form of saying, this is what our party promised the people when we were seeking for election. And they've elected in source office, let us deliver it systematically. Right now, it's here and there. You know, this person wants to build a rail into somebody's village. This person wants to build a school in his backyard. This person wants to build that. This person wants to build that. It does not gel. It's not coming together because it's a one-man show. It has to be a collective thing. The party has to have an ideology that's been driven, and they have to have a way of delivering on them.
And parties used to have programs. The MPN had programs. The UPN had its programs, and you could follow what each of the state governors elected on those platforms were doing and were not doing, if at all they were following the party's manifesto and program of action. You could follow and in fact challenge them to that. But it doesn't appear to be that way these days, which has made many people to begin to question, raise questions about this monetization of mandates vis-a-vis competence, vis-a-vis value systems, vis-a-vis character of the parties and of the individuals. Now, if I pay as much as 100 million to collect a form and I eventually get nominated for that position and then get elected ultimately, I will not brook any kind of challenge or opposition, even from within the party.
That is very clear. Right from the beginning, the idea is not about having the program for the interest of the people. No, it's about the personal interest. If you watch, why is it so easy for you, if you know you are popular, why is it that it's so easy for you to leave party A and move to party B? If you are popular, why can't you remain in party C even, and you can still win election? So that's why you will not see all of those particular programs. And with all due respect, this issue of independence and control for the political party, there's no way you can put a correlation within this particular set of money that is being put to control the party. Look, anybody that can pay 100 million naira to any political party has a level of control over that party. And that makes him a powerhouse. In fact, decisions may be taken within that political party. He will be consulted. He must be consulted. Otherwise, a breakaway from him will be injurious to that political party. So where is independency? It doesn't. The only independence that you can get for any political party is ensuring that each of its members pay their membership dues and they own the political party together. So decision making will be jointly taken by members of the political party and those who are. Yes, you may contribute a little amount of money higher than those who think maybe the peasant farmer and all to show that you are okay. But then that doesn't mean that you pay a sum of money that you take control of the political party. So there is no control that will be ensured from the independence of the political party. And with regards to programs can only be done when there's a collective decision. Decisions that have been taken in political parties of this matter, they are not taken by ordinary members of the political party. They have been taken by caucus members who have been able to wield so much wealth and power in the party. So they control it and decide what it is. People don't sit down and discuss about what programs to give to the people anymore. They are discussing about how do we win elections. Go and check. The issue is not about programming. How do we find solution to electricity? How do you find solution to education? How do you find solution to economic situation? No, they only give you that one as a kangaroo position, but what they are interested in, how do we win election? And that's the reason why we are saying that, look, Nigeria is at a crossroads. Everybody's talking about rescue Nigeria, let's rescue Nigeria. Let's discuss with even past leaders. The people in government as of today, let's all come together on this particular conference jointly supported by the Nigerian Political Side and then the National Consultative Front. We are inviting the president himself, the National Assembly member, political party member, traditional rulers. Let's all come together on that. Let's discuss Nigeria. Let's make Nigeria a focus point. This idea of people, even when we're talking about, you say, clergymen are also paying for 100 million naira from. That will put a question onto the membership due members of the congregation. What maybe they are tithes. They want to question is that money. A clergyman is supposed to be a man of God. And then where he is now paying for 100 million, you want to question his source of money. So all of this one encourages corruption in any disguise that you want to put it. Yes, there are my people, individuals who must have had that particular money, but then let them give us account of how did they generate the money to pay. But quite honestly, to be morally justifiable, we are thinking about credible Nigerians who can be able to run for government, who can be able to do what is right for the people. But when you jack it up to this particular level, you are only reducing it to those who have been able to have access to undisclosed amount of money.
Mr. Hassan, on a lighter note, is it possible that these parties are just simply trying to raise monies for the parties? I mean, it's a disguised form of...
You see, development honestly comes in phases. It's a phase-wise thing. But for you to go into development, you have to be resourceful. The resources must first and foremost be there. And you don't want to go into government public coffers. How old is this Abdullahi Adamu-led leadership in APC? How old is Senator Yocha Ayus in PDP? How old is it? So, I know about my party, Abdullahi Adamu. He's been in politics right during your days, in the MPN days. And he is trying to revise certain tendencies that are negatively impacting on the society. Like he rightly said, yes, there is a tendency of enabling corruption through this. But honestly, in the phases that the party wants to go, the party must first and foremost stand on its feet. Then, like I said, it can now design certain do's and don'ts. And then all members will now toe the line. If you don't want, you can go. Then at that point, you can do your dues and you can come back. Like he rightly said, he contested without paying for forms. If 40 million people, like he said, every month can pay, even if it's 10 naira, not 100 naira, Do you understand? But the party must first and foremost be on its feet. They are lucky they came during an election year. And that's the challenge. If not an election year, that's when you, even this question you ask, where will they start from? Then you have to go back to people in governance. But because it's an election year, there are people who aspire. And for you to aspire, you must have prepared yourself, either personally or through your constituents or followership. And anybody can contribute his 10 naira and say, okay, let's go and do it. Because we have this ideology, let me be there, then we can practicalize it.
We used to propose a system in the NCP then, that each state or each ward, when you generate X amount of money, you keep 75% of amount, you give 25% to the national. If the state generates 100%, they take 75 and they give 25 to the national. So that way, 25 coming from each of these states will form the basis of this fund that will be used by the national, while 75 remain in the primary source. And that's enough to take care of whatever expenses that any political party wants to do. And that will ensure independency. Within that 75%, you'll be able to take care of the party offices, you'll take care of it. So that way, the independency of the political party remain with the political party. Any contribution made by any individual will be an additional funding. If we can do all of this is under a conference and agree, it will reverse the particular position that we are trying to reverse. Because quite honestly, this system must be reversed. Otherwise, we are heading to 1 billion naira for reform.
Yes. In fact, if you ask me,
yes, finally.
If you ask me,
yes,
it's so much. We're being distracted so much with this 100 million thing.
Yes, exactly.
The people, the potential candidates, the aspirants, have not even started telling us what they're going to do for us. They have not even started discussing the issues, and we are dissipating so much energy discussing the.
We hope that some of them will be at this book launch and to tell us why they want to become Nigeria's president.
Exactly.
And what they are bringing to the table.
Absolutely. The good thing about this is that we have actually invited Mr. President. He has the book. He has read it, and I believe he's very keen on it. He was actually to attend, but I understand that he just traveled.
To Cote d'Ivoire.
Yes. We extended an invitation to him, and we were told that we had to create a speaking platform for him, and we did all that. All the presidential candidates have been invited. All the presidential aspirants have been invited to have the opportunity for us to articulate these points. Because I think, the issue of this funding is something that we have to address, and in due course. But for now, I think, like I said, APC probably started it by party registration. And your township union, you pay dues. Even if it's 5,000 or 10,000 naira, for you to be an active member of that union, association, that want to help and stuff like that. When you pay money, not to talk of, Nigerian Institute of Advanced Management Studies or Institute of Management and stuff like that. So
every professional body you belong to.
Yes, it's what should be done.
All right.
But now we have to face the issues, and the issue is that we have a president who's coming up in 2023. What are we expecting in that president? What from experience? What has happened? What going forward? What are we going to insist should be embodied in this president? How are we going to go about it? Those are the kind of things I think we should
Thank you so much. We hope that we have an opportunity to take a deeper look at this book after the launch.
Thank you.
Well, I must thank you for coming along. Magnus Oyinbe, former Commissioner for Information in Delta State, and author of the new book, Becoming President of Nigeria, a Citizen's Guide. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Engineer Ibrahim Hassan. He is a politician and an engineering consultant. Thank you so much for finding time to come. And Dr. Tanko Yunusa. He is the head of Public Affairs Bureau of the National Consultative Front, NCF, and former presidential candidate. The NCF, in collaboration with other groups, are putting together a conference to discuss Nigeria. And that's coming up tomorrow on the 12th.
That's on Thursday.
That's Thursday this week. We look forward to the resolutions and the outcome of that conference.
grace of
Well,
God.
thank you so much for
God
coming.
bless Nigeria.
And for our viewers out there, I want to thank you immensely for investing your time with us. And we look forward to being with you again when we bring you a fresh edition of People, Politics, and Power. Bye for now.